Hello and welcome to the Zach Brown Show, the show that introduces you to old friends for the first time. I'm your host, Zach Brown. Joining me in this episode is the kid himself, Arthur Rocker. We sit down and talk about music, Disney, culture, and a bunch of other stuff. Also stay tuned to the end of the show where we'll get a special preview of his latest single. Now that we've got the intro out of the way, let's get to it.
Arthur, you and I have known each other for probably 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I think about all the stuff that we've been involved in. And the first time I remember seeing you was at Hillcrest. It was in the college group. Mm-hmm. And the thing that stood out to me the most was your swagger. And there were other people that'd be like, yeah, that's just Arthur. And I'm like, he's so outlandish. And I love it. Yeah. Because
Thank you.
Yeah. You know who you are. You know your line. You know when you're going to push that like fake arrogance, but it's all hedged behind a smile. And and that's, I think, which is that fine line between that guy's obnoxious and like, gosh, he's so ridiculous. We love having him around.
Yeah.
And you would dance and you would do like, you were just doing all these like Michael Jackson moves or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you always danced? Where did that start in your life?
Oh, no. I haven't always danced.
Like as a little kid, you weren't like dancing around the house or whatever?
I feel like every kid maybe does that, but I didn't dance. So this is what happened. I went to private school my whole life, except the last 3 years of high school and then 1 year in 5th grade.
Okay.
So I went to this school for elementary school. And then my dad said the summer of 4th grade, he was like, the end of 4th grade, he was like, you're going to a public school. I was freaking out because I was like, public school? No, that's scary. I ain't trying to go to that. But it was a school, and it's called MB Cook, and it's a school of arts. Loved it. So got to the school, and at the school we have to take art, we have to take music, and we have to take dance. Now, when I heard we had to take dance, I was like, this is dumb. I ain't doing that because I thought dance was like ballet. Like
right. Well, you're a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
You're like, this is not me.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Then, like 3 weeks in, went with school, and my teacher came up to me, and she said, hey, Arthur. And you know who my teacher was? It was Allie and Maddie Bell's mom.
Okay.
She was our dance teacher.
How funny.
Yeah. But she came up to me, and she said, I want you to be the lead in this dance, like, recital show we have. And I was like, I don't want to do that. She said, you'll like it because it's Michael Jackson. And I was like, cool, I like his music, but I don't care. I don't want to do it. And she said, go home this weekend and look him up on YouTube and then come back to me on Monday. And I was like, cool. So went home.
What was the video?
Well, it was funny because the first video I ever watched was Billie Jean. Okay. And I remember watching it.
The actual music video?
The music video.
The lighting stones and all that?
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched it and I was like, this is kind of dumb. Like, he's not really dancing cool. And then I remember, like, in the YouTube recommendation thing, it was Justin Timberlake and Usher. Okay. And I remember clicking, like, through all their videos, and I didn't know anything about them. And I was watching them dance, and I was like, wow, they can dance so good. And then I figured it out, like, oh, they kind of stole everything from Michael Jackson.
So then did you go back to MJ?
And then I started looking at like live performances of him.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it. I learned it all in like a weekend.
Michael Jackson to me is one of those enigmas, and I mean I obviously feel bad for the guy just because he was like kind of forced into not having a childhood and like the craziness of his family dynamic and all that nonsense. But the amount of just raw talent in one individual, because he wasn't just a singer, he wasn't just a dancer. You know, I've always said that the greatest way to become big is something that Michael Jackson did, something that Walt Disney did, and that they alone were very talented, yes, but they found people that they could surround themselves with to do the things that they didn't know how to do. So like Walt Disney didn't know how to sculpt, but he could find a guy in his art department who he would be like, I think you're going to be a sculptor, and then he did it. Michael Jackson needed a guitar player for this one song, so he goes and gets Eddie Van Halen. I don't need you for the whole album, I just need you for this one spot. And I think that really says a whole lot about like the man's ego. Because he could have been like, no, I need to be the name. But instead, he went and picked other big names.
Yeah.
And that's really just such an incredible thing.
And that's why I value our friendship, because we've been friends, like you said, for a while. And I remember me coming up to you a few years back and telling you, like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I know I want to entertain. I want to be in the arts, but I just don't know what to do because I'm not that good, I don't think. And I remember you telling me that. You said Michael Jackson was only that good because of his team. And I remember it clicked. I was like, okay, Quincy Jones / Zac Brown. Okay.
So you did an album.
I did.
A while back.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about that experience.
It was so cool. So I knew I always wanted to do music, but I never could sing good. I wasn't ever the best singer.
Okay.
And I did this thing with the boy band for a while, and I was like, this is it. This is how I'm going to get famous. And then obviously we got older, and they were like, we don't want to do this. This was just for fun.
Yeah.
And so...
But you were serious.
But I was serious. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do. I guess I got to put out music. Thank goodness for the internet. Thank goodness for Ben Kimsel. So I went up to him and I asked, can you help me like write some songs and put out a little EP? And then he was like, yeah, I loved it. It was so cool.
And what was that EP called?
Prove to You.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will link to that in our show notes that you guys can go check that out, download it. Serenity was obviously the big kind of breakout single off of that. And
which is funny too, because that was the one I always said would be the one people wouldn't like.
Are you serious?
I said that all the time to Ben.
That's
like when
so
we were
funny to me.
like writing it and recording it, yeah.
So then how... Because in my mind, I always thought that was the one that was pushed, that was the one that was like... So
Yeah.
did he tell you, no, you're wrong, this is the single?
Well, I think he thought... He was thinking both ways. He thought that, I don't know, Arthur, I really like it, but also I see where you're coming from. Because I always said that one wouldn't work because that one is the most personal.
Okay.
Like, I'm really talking about Arthur Rocker, and I'm talking about all my flaws and all the things I'm going through and how this girl is breaking my heart. And then...
But that's what music is.
I guess so. And I learned that with Serenity, yeah.
And then Ben comes in and sings the
hook.
The hook,
Yeah.
which is so good. I don't remember when this was. This was a handful of years ago. And you did a combo concert, you and Paul.
Yeah.
Paul Vincent. And it was just an intimate club setting. And I don't remember how many people were there. It was it was well attended.
Yeah.
And Arthur comes out and decided that like mid-show he was gonna do like this free-form rap. I don't know what you called it, but basically you wanted people to just drop you words.
Yeah.
And you were gonna... And so
I forgot about that, yeah.
So the beginning of the show, like before it starts, like 5 minutes before, Arthur comes over to me and he says, all right, I'm going to ask people for different words. I'm going to ask people to come up and give me a word, but I don't want just anybody to come up. So I'm going to plant you in the audience and I need you to come up and give me the words. And you said, but don't give me anything crazy like orange.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, okay. And so then we're about halfway through your performance and you're like, I need somebody to come up and give me, words that I'm going to freeform rap.
Yeah.
And so you're like, put your hands up if you want to come up on stage. And so through process of elimination, I end up on the stage and you hand me the other microphone and you're like, give me a word. And I immediately just said, orange.
I do remember. Yeah.
I remember you looked at me and you were like, get off the stage.
Next.
It was so awesome. That was such a fun night.
Yeah.
I had a blast. So then fast forward to another music project that I was a part of called the Blue Blanket Sport Coats, which we basically exclusively made Christmas music, whether they were covers of stuff that people know or stuff that we wrote. And it was kind of funny because we were originally just going to do a single because we'd done an album before and we said, no, let's just do a single. And I approached Corey Jess and I said...
And y'all killed that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Everybody go listen to that. But yeah.
We'll link to that as well.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what do you think? Because we were working together at the time. We were working for the Bodacious Shops.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you think about getting Arthur to do a rap track? So imagine us doing like kind of an 80s style song and then doing a rap track. Like, they were not complimentary at all. It made no sense. Mm-hmm. And Corey just goes, yeah, okay. He just went for it. And I remember pitched it to you, and you were like, oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
And from that, we'll talk about this on another show at a later date. Maybe our Christmas episode, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we eventually fleshed that out to a full-blown album. But we had the most fun with you in the studio because Arthur and I wrote it separately. He wrote all of his verses, and I wrote the hook and the chorus. And I remember you coming in, and I was like, Arthur, sit down. We've got the track. Like, you're going to record, but I want you to hear this first.
Yeah.
And what were your thoughts?
I remember, still to this day, and I don't think I've ever told you this, but every now and then, every month or every 2 weeks or so, I'll think about that song because I think that song is so amazing.
Oh, that's great.
The way you and Corey just put that together, I don't know. And I remember listening to it and I was like, oh, this is it. This is a hit. This is a hit. But yeah.
It was funny. And it was, again, just basically what I did, in all fairness, to be, just real for everybody, is I sat and I listened to your first album, and I listened to Serenity.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I need to take this and I need to make the Christmas version of that, where we've got Arthur bringing his rap and then just stick in some, like, white boy flair in the middle of it. And it was good.
It worked.
And the sample that Corey found with
amazing.
The sax and everything was so good.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things that I just go, like you're saying, every couple months I pull out that album, even though it's a Christmas album, and I just listen to that track.
It's so good. The whole album is.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
If you can't be proud of what you've made, then don't even put it out. Just make something that makes you smile.
Exactly.
And hopefully other people will get along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
You have also Arthur is just an enigma of an individual. So many different things. But with his entertainment background for singing and dancing and whatever, you decided that you were going to take that to the entertainment king of the world and go work for Disney.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience.
Well, I never knew about the Disney College program, even growing up, and which was crazy because my family always went to Disney every year growing up. And I remember finding out about it, and I was like, this is what's going to get me on Disney Channel. I don't know why I thought that, but
that was the whole goal, to get on Disney Channel.
To get on Disney Channel.
Okay.
This might be a step closer to getting there. So I applied, and I actually think the first time I applied, I got denied. Okay. And then the next year I applied again, or the next semester or whatever. And then I got it, and then I got a job working at Pinocchio's Village House.
So very different from entertainment.
Very different. And that's when I got the role initially, I was like, I'm going to hate this. I don't want to work in a restaurant. But still to this day, I loved that job. And it was only for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was done. And then I was like, well, I guess I got to go back home. So went back to Pensacola. Was in Pensacola for less than 2 months. And I was like, I hate it here. I got to be back at Disney. And then so I applied for the college program again. But then I went to an audition to be in entertainment at Disney. Mm-hmm. And I got it. And so I went back to Disney. And I'm here now. Yeah.
And can you talk about what you did there?
I hung out with a lot of people. I hang out with a lot of people. Did some cool dance parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the safe version is entertained a lot of folks and got to do some dance parties.
Yeah.
And really taking that performance art and putting on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can either let you just be left in clueless land, or at least for those that know, you'll know. But how long did you do that?
I'm still doing it now. So okay. I did the college program.
Like, how long have you done it?
Almost longer than a year, I guess now. Yeah.
Probably 2 years, maybe?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
That's
crazy.
A
year and a half. I know. Time's going by crazy.
What is the best part of the Disney College program? For those who are listening and might potentially be interested in looking into the college program, what would you say were those pros? What were the things that you really appreciate about it?
For me, I think I learned the most with just work, because Disney is an amazing place, but it's also a weird place because a lot of people go to Disney, obviously. So you have to learn how to adapt to different types of guests. And so I think the Disney College program is perfect for somebody who wants to get a little bit more versatile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
That makes sense.
So you were going for entertainment, and obviously that was your dream, and it got to work out. Now, if they just for whatever reason said no, you're not going to be a dancer, you're not going to be doing any sort of performance, you're not going to be doing any sort of interactions, like in what you think, would it still be worth it to you? Would you still feel that you've got something out of it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to be able to be there, I think it's cool. To be a cast member at Disney with whatever role you have is amazing.
Yeah.
And the guest interaction, I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. But there is some magic that is in Disney. And when you talk to a guest, or you give them a map, or you give them a sticker, or just whatever, it's different.
Okay.
And so I'm blessed because I don't think a lot of people get to experience that. And I do. Yeah.
It's a crazy, because when you think about it, like there's some people that save for years to come to Disney World.
Exactly.
And this may be their only time ever stepping foot in that park, and you are providing them with, hopefully, a joyous moment that will last them for years to come.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. There's certain cast members that have had interactions with my family or me as a local and different things that, looking back, that I was like, do you remember when that guy did that? Or this server at this restaurant, or this character attendant, or this person in the gift shop.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. You go, why would I remember them?
Yeah.
But you do.
Yeah.
You know? So be kind to people.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
So then the question really, those are your good things. Do you, as a cast member, as a college student going through that, what if it was, I don't want to say not enjoyable, to put a negative spin on it, but what would you say were something that you would maybe wish were handled in different ways?
If somebody was applying for the college program right now and they asked me what you just asked, I would tell them, be prepared to work, because you're going to work a lot.
Okay.
And I think that's very good, because it teaches you kind of to work hard. And
so do you think that some of the expectation of cast members coming in sometimes is that it's just going to be hanging out and Disney and riding rides?
And it's not that at all. Yeah. And like you said, when you said be kind to cast members, you get a lot of guests who aren't that way. And you got to learn, once again, to adapt. And it's okay. This is just one person. I'm going to meet 30 other people who are going to be super duper nice to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that one.
That
lifts you off for the rest of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be right back after these messages.
The Zach Brown Show is brought to you in part by Fisher's Subliminal TV Dinners. Just imagine how full you'll be. And Darby's Gunpowder Malt Liquor, the beer that will blow your mind.
So I would say not the most interaction we've had, but something that we spent a lot of time doing, you and I, was working at Hillcrest, doing stuff with kids ministry. So I was on staff there for a while, and Arthur might as well have been on staff. Spent enough time there.
Yeah.
We worked in the kids department, and so I led worship for the kids, and Arthur was the opener most Sundays, if not all. And it was so great because that exchange of whether he knew what my first song was going to be, or we just knew what the lesson was, we were always setting it up for the other guy. And that was always such a fun thing, because whether it was you and Taylor or just you, just getting up and Arthur has this amazing gift. And the best way I can summarize this, and I mean this in the most loving way, is people would ask me, they go, what do you think is ever going to happen? What is Arthur going to do in life? And I said, I don't know. But I said, whatever he's going to do is he's going to bring people a lot of joy.
Thank you. Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
I said he's like Seacrest. I don't really know what he
I love
does.
Ryan Seacrest. He has the best job ever.
I said I don't know what he does, but he just brings joy, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, we're happy he's there. And if he wasn't there, we don't know how it would be done.
Yeah.
And so, talk about working with kids. Talk about kids ministry.
It's funny because when people, I'm sounding like I'm so old and wise, but when people ask me about just advice in life, I always have a story about the kids at Hillcrest. Like I always have a question a kid asks me, or I have a story of me interacting with kids, but I love kids. And I think I love them so much just because of how honest they are.
Absolutely.
And I don't know where it happens, but somewhere along the line of us growing up as people, we forget that and we lose that honesty.
Well, I think we spend so much time around people who have learned how to be fake, and they've learned to wear the mask, and kids just don't care.
Yeah.
Like they have their fears and that sort of thing, but they still they will sing loud. They don't care if they're on key. They don't care if you can hear them or not. They will ask you the same question 9 times in a row until they get the answer that they want.
Yeah.
Not even get an answer, just the answer that they want.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's that honesty. They are so genuine in everything that they're doing.
And you've told me a lot too, and I try to remember this. And I don't think a lot of people know this about kids, but every time I ask you advice on speaking to kids or something, you would always tell me, don't talk down to the kids.
Yeah.
Talk to them like they're your friends, like they're people. Yeah.
Be sensitive to where they are, but don't belittle them.
Exactly,
I think people they forget what they knew as a child.
They do.
And we don't give kids near enough credit for what they understand or what they are able to perceive. Whether it be something that's happening in the home. This is weird, but again, like weird things of just kind of like sexual nature that like boys somehow are starting to get in tune to, and they're like, oh well, they don't know. No, they know. They're paying attention.
Yeah.
And they're slowly training their minds to what is okay, what is not okay, what is normal. And we have to be so careful with what we're exposing children to, or what they're saying around them, or the behavior that you're showing. And again, everything that we're seeing in the world right now with Corona and with the racial riots and everything like that, I'm telling you, it's the simple thing of just showing children how to love and how to be loved. Because I think there's an equal exchange of that. We need to learn how to love one another, but also to be able to receive that as well. To not turn people off, but not to be greedy with it either. To just be very respectful of that exchange.
Yeah.
Kids are the best because they want to tell you everything they know. And they don't care if you need to know this or you shouldn't know it or whatever. They just need you to know because they are so excited about life.
Yeah. There was this little girl I remember at Hillcrest, and she was maybe in first grade. She was young, but she would cry all the time, and she would have kind of these meltdowns. And a lot of times I would have to go into her classroom and like take her out and say, hey, what's wrong? Kind of calm her down. And I never could figure her out because every time I would try to make a joke or I would try to make her laugh or anything, she just kept crying. And it was like she wanted to laugh or she wanted to be happy or she wanted to express to me how she felt, but she just couldn't. And then I learned, because her mom came up to me one day, she said, my daughter loves you. And I want to say thank you. And I was like, thank me for what? I don't do anything. I don't even know if your daughter likes me. She doesn't even talk back to me. And she said, my daughter struggles with anxiety. And she always talks about you and how you calm her down.
Wow.
And I remember going back home and I always thought to myself, and this is just me being an uneducated little kid myself, but I always thought it was kind of a cop-out when people said, I struggle with anxiety. I'm like, no, you don't. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
But then after meeting her, I was like, wow, this is a real thing. And I don't think I would have ever learned that from somebody my age. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I think like anxiety and depression are two of those things that I think too many people don't understand that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think too many people claim it
Mm.
when that's not their main issue. They just use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
And again, don't hear what I'm not saying. I mean, I've struggled with anxiety in a lot of different areas of my life, and I think that it's so important that if you acknowledge that you have these things and understand that you have these things, that you're doing what you can to get past it.
Yes.
Because
yeah.
you shouldn't let that be your identity. That should just be something that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too many people are there's like, I have anxiety. It's like, okay, that's serious. How are you dealing with it?
Exactly.
Well, I'm numbing it this way. I'm numbing it this way. Okay, well, are you still, once you've numbed it, are you moving past? Are you using that to get past? Or are you just like, I've numbed it and here I am?
Mm-hmm.
And
That's good,
It's been,
Zach, yeah.
It's been said that like our generation is the most fearful and the most anxious like generation like in history. Like 2017 was like the most like recorded people dealing with anxiety and the most like anti-anxiety and depression medication.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scary thought. It's kind of crazy because we have so many more like just blessings, more simple things that like our parents and our grandparents didn't have, just the technology, the things that make life easier.
Yeah.
Yet we're so stressed out. And I think in one aspect, it's almost like in some things we've made some things too easy that you don't have to work for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that way when there are things you have to work for, it's so stressful.
Yeah.
It's you're not tuned to working for things anymore. We live in a world where it's literally Instagram. It's instant.
Mm-hmm.
When we buy something on Amazon, it's here in 2 days.
Yeah.
When we send somebody a message, they get it right now. We don't have to send them a postcard. We don't send them an email. Like we can send them an email, but a text is instant. And then sometimes to even help with the waiting on a text, the phones give us those little dots to show that, oh, by the way, somebody's
Yeah.
it's coming. It's coming. You haven't got it yet, but it's coming. Hang tight. Everything is there to let us know that it's moving fast.
Yeah.
And I'm not old by any stretch, but I have an old soul, and there's certain things where I take the simple pleasure, and I talked about this when Michael Ruffin was on the show, that I love vinyl records because there's a wonderful thing where if I don't have to buy a whole album, I just want to listen to one track on Spotify or whatever, it's right there. But a vinyl takes time. It takes me a second to set it on the turntable, to hit play, to sit back, and then when it's ready to go to the next, I have to flip it over. It causes you to slow down, to enjoy the music of what it is and really listen to it and listen to the way it makes you feel and go, ooh, what's coming up next?
Yeah.
Not just this instant. And
I think that's the scary thing too with this whole epidemic, because everybody's been forced to stay at home and we're so used to like what you're saying, to just constantly moving, and now you have no choice now but to slow down. And it's
enjoy
freaking
simple
people
things like-
out. Yeah.
Yes. People like I talk to different people who have the blessing of getting to spend time with their kids right now. And I get that you spend enough time with anybody, you're ready to like pack them in a crate and ship them off to Timbuktu. But like dads who are working nonstop, who now have a chance to share a section of life with their children that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
Yeah.
So when there's like, oh, this is stressful, it's like, okay, we'll take a moment, go by yourself, get a cup of tea, chill for a little bit.
Exactly.
Come back, regroup, give thanks for the fact that you get to spend time with your kids.
Right.
Like if somebody told me that, hey, by the way, for the next week, you're not going to have to work, or if you are working, you're working from the air conditioning of your home and like your pajamas, but you just get to go and hang out and watch movies and do a puzzle with your parents, I'd be like, that sounds kind of great. Actually,
Yeah.
like, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah.
And I know there's obviously the financial situation, and there is 100% like people getting sick, and there, people have died. But count your blessings. Like my friend Lou always says, choose the good. Like look for the lemonade within the lemons.
Right.
And maybe you don't have water, you got a lemon wedge. All right, put that in your glass of tea. Like look for what you can do with that thing. And it just goes back to the anxiety thing. Like for me, I need things to calm me down sometimes when I'm stressed. Like I chew Wrigley's double mint gum because mint makes you feel good and it's a natural thing, and you chew the gum and it puts your heartbeat at a regulated pace. Cool. So
Yeah.
it's not drugs. It's not overindulgence of alcohol. It's not psychedelics. It's, it's just like, just chew some gum. Be calm.
Yeah.
Give thanks for the simple things. And be in the now.
Yeah.
The moments when I get the most stress is when I'm not present. You know what I mean?
That's so true. Yeah.
How many times do you sit there and stress about what could happen?
The hypotheticals. Yeah.
When you're just sitting still.
Yeah.
And still, instead of just enjoying the still.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts.
And I think that was happening to me a lot because when this thing happened at first, obviously I was super scared, but I was like, wow, for a month I get to just hang out. I don't have to really do anything.
Yeah.
But then that second month hit and I just kept thinking. I was like, what if this happens? Or what if blah, blah, blah? Or what if? And it was stressful for me.
Sure.
But then I had to learn that, wow, this is not true. Like, this is not happening. You're just making things up in your head.
Okay.
But I think when I've never been in a place or in a zone where I've had to do this. So
Just stop.
And so my brain started freaking out and just making things up. And I don't know. This quarantine has just been very eye-opening, but that's all I'm getting at. But yeah.
It's kind of a funny thing because there are those who, like myself, who have been deemed essential and are continuing to work and doing what you can to keep things going. And so being in so many different people's homes, I'm doing pest control right now, like that, getting a look into so many different people's lives.
Yeah.
Those who are, I work for I do a guy's house and he provides linens to hotels. No hotels were open. So he was totally out of work. But then you go to the next house and this guy's like an IT person. And he goes, I literally have never been working harder in my life.
Wow.
I'm just home.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy. And it's just so much of it is the understanding. I think the thing that drives me nuts the most is like not being able to find certain things. It's slowly getting to a place. Like yesterday, I bought hand sanitizer. And dude, I thought I went and bought like a Ferrari. I was like, I got one.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
It was the craziest thing. And it wasn't some like rando, off-brand, whatever. I was like, look at this.
Yeah.
I have this thing. If you would have told me 6 months ago, you need to buy stock in Zoom and hand sanitizer.
And toilet paper.
And toilet paper. I'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? Shouldn't I be buying in like SpaceX or something? And they're like, well, that's going to be a thing too. But I've been joking. I was literally joking with my dad last night about everything that keeps happening. Like when the news announces something or something on Twitter that I hear like, oh, by the way, this has just happened. It's almost like some sort of crazy comedy film where like one thing bad happens after the next. It's almost not surprising anymore.
Yeah.
I have a moment of stress where I go, oh crap, this is a new reality. And then by like 5 minutes later, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like 2 words. Murder hornets.
I know. 2020, man. 2020.
Did we hear anything more about that? Like they were like, it's coming. And then
Where are they?
it wasn't like you were seeing them places. It wasn't like an Egypt plague.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anybody that's gotten stung by a murder hornet?
Not one.
Not one.
Not one. And I remember when Disney Springs opened, I went like maybe the 4th or 5th day of it being open.
Okay.
And I remember I went and it felt so weird.
Did it feel weird to you?
Yeah, it felt like an apocalypse just happened. And now
And these were the ones that are left.
and these are the ones that are left. And I don't know. It's a weird time. 2020. Yeah.
It's so there. I hate the phrase "new normal." I really do. I've done my best to not use it
Yeah.
because I think that like every day things are evolving. So
Yeah.
every day is the new normal. That's my deep philosophical like Hallmark cheese for you.
Y'all heard that.
But when people just go like, well, this is just how things are going to be from now on. No.
Yeah.
Like the bubonic plague is not screwing things up still. Like the Black Plague that moved through the dark times in England.
Yeah.
We're still traveling to Europe, not right now, but you know what I mean. Like to say
Yeah.
this is just how things. This is not going to be forever. Like
Yeah.
I really need people to calm down.
Yeah.
Because it's not stressing me out more than it's annoying.
Yeah.
Like if you would just chill out.
Yeah.
And I think people get freaked out. They just stick their heads in the sand and they're just like, this is bad.
Yeah.
And then that's where they need to stay. And if you're not as freaked out as they are, they're upset at you for not being freaked out.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Are you safe? Yes. Are you employed? Yes. Or if you're not, do you have it, unemployment coming? Yeah. All right, there's food on the table. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you got Disney Plus or Netflix?
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We don't have people ripping us out of our houses and throwing us in jail for, worshiping how we want to worship or whatever until that point.
Yeah.
And even then, like, you're like, it's not bad. Like, we're doing okay. We have AC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not in a hut in Africa not knowing what electricity
Exactly.
is.
Yeah.
Which supposedly they announced that aliens were sending SOS from the space.
Yeah, and that's how crazy 2020 is. Like, the government finally announced that there are aliens, and we're like, oh, well, we don't
Okay.
really care. It's 2020.
That's neat.
Yeah, cool.
Like, Tiger King's released the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
People are freaking out more about that.
Yeah.
I think so much of what has happened this year, like, it's almost been great that things have happened in the sequence that they have. Because if they would have happened at any other time, everybody's just been like, no.
Yeah.
We're not dealing with that.
Yeah.
And would have not paid any attention. But because it's happened in the order that it has,
Yeah.
people are losing their minds.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just like, oh, good. It's Friday. That means Disney Plus released new episodes of whatever it is I'm watching right now. It's these little things. Mm-hmm. But I'm all about moving forward. I'm about moving to the future. So it's not released yet.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
What is a great, big, beautiful tomorrow? But I want to talk about what Arthur Rocker has coming next.
Ooh.
If we get a Zach Brown Show, exclusive, what's coming down the pike for Arthur Rocker and
Yeah.
the fans?
Well, since this is the Zach Brown Show, I gotta give Zach Brown the exclusive. I got to. So, I'm super excited.
You can't see this, but he's taking the glasses off for effect.
Yeah. But I'm super excited because I'm releasing new music. And
It's about time.
I know, it's been so long, right?
Like Bruno Mars or Katy Perry, it takes 4 hours,
Right.
4 years to do an album.
Yeah, but I'm releasing a new song, and I actually let you listen to it.
You did.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it
good.
a lot.
I'm glad you do.
So
Yeah.
you got a whole album coming though, yeah?
I don't know about an album yet.
Okay.
Just a single for now.
Okay.
But yeah,
Could this probably be leading into an album?
probably.
An EP at least?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. We'll let that slide.
We'll let that slide.
Yeah.
But I'll be back though when the album comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what else I think we need to do?
What do we need to do?
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I don't
know what you're going to say, so I'm really wondering.
I don't know if you can, but I'm telling you, the Blue Blanket Sports Coat, if y'all release that album to the world, I'm telling you, that's the next.
Not just on Bandcamp.com.
Not just on Bandcamp.com.
/ Blue Lake Sports Coat.
I'm telling you, that's the next All I Want for Christmas Is You. Y'all can be Mariah Carey.
Thank God.
Either-
Are we done with that yet?
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry, Coulter.
Either y'all got to do that or you and I got to make another Christmas album.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can make that happen. It's
Yeah.
just a little bit difficult now that we're all living in different places. But
True. Yeah.
If we can get Corey Jess to move down here, you heard this. You're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah.
All right, people, you've heard it. It's on tape. You got to hold us to it. Keep us honest, man. Arthur, thanks for coming in and just
Thank
chatting
you.
with us.
Yeah.
We look forward to your new track. Do we have a title for the track yet?
Yeah. X marks the spot.
X marks the spot. All right. We're going to be looking forward to that. Where will it be available?
Everywhere. Every streaming service you know. Spotify, Apple Music,
Perfect.
Tidal, whatever you listen to. Yeah.
Love it. Artie, I love you, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you. I will be back. Let me be back. Yeah.
Well, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did. Once again, I'd like to thank our guest, my friend Arthur Rocker. It was a blast sitting and hanging out with him, talking about all kinds of stuff, and I just enjoy him. He is a wonderful human being, a beautiful person. Go show him some Zach Brown Show love. Right now, do it. Just minimize this bar. Go over to YouTube, subscribe to his channels, watch his videos, give it the little thumbs up down there on all of his stuff that he's doing. Then hop on over to iTunes or Spotify and check out his music. Download his stuff. Add it to your playlist. Crank the music to 10. Just don't wake the neighbors because then they'll make you turn it down and then you're going to blame me and nobody's happy. So, keep it at a healthy level, but enjoy. Yeah, enjoy. Want to stay connected with the show? You can follow on Instagram and give us a like on Facebook. I'll post behind-the-scenes pictures and updates on all the latest episodes. So like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you'd leave a 5-star rating on iTunes, I would really appreciate it. It's super helpful and does something with the podcast algorithm. It's very beyond my understanding, but I know that if you leave a 5-star rating and a nice little comment, more people get to hear the show, which is great. And you did that, so you're great. And you did it for me, which makes me feel great. And everybody's happy. We are changing the world. You and me, look at us go. So go ahead, 5-star rating, little comment. Let's change the world. You and me, Zach Brown Show, we're doing it. Also, how about this theme music? This outro stuff is really good that we have every week. I'm not bragging because it's not mine. I just think it's really good. It's an instrumental version of Nurse by Corey Jess, who incidentally is the executive producer of this very podcast. Corey, he's working really hard every single month for you. Yes, you, my friend, the listener. So go over, download the thing, stream it, tell your friends about it, tell your mom and your mailman, whoever. Somebody needs to hear this song that could change their day. Again, we're changing the world. Look at us go. I'm Zach Brown, and I want you to remember, it costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. Have a good one.